Tonight, recent severe weather in the United States included a tornado emergency. And Europe is joining in on some of the severe weather as well. We catch up with their team. And welcome to another episode of WeatherBeat Wednesdays on Force 13. My name's Nathan Foy, and this is where we discuss everything that's gone on in the world of weather in the last week and anything coming up in the next week that we should be looking at as well. But first tonight, we are talking about what's been going on in the United States in the past few days. Lots of severe weather activity. Of course, you expect that at this part of the year. We've just entered May, of course. That's one of the busiest months for severe weather. And to tell us all about it right now is Xavier and Ethan. Ethan, we'll be talking to you first. How are you doing, by the way? And nice to see you again.
I'm doing just fine, just getting off of my Tennessee vacation here that we had over the weekend. Absolutely fantastic weather down there. We were in the 70s for a majority part of our vacation. And the views down there, because we were up in the eastern part of the state in the mountains, the views there were phenomenal.
Perfect. So I believe the main focus you wanted to talk about here was the tornado emergency that occurred a few nights ago.
Yes, on May the 2nd, the Storm Prediction Center had issued a enhanced risk for severe weather, mainly across the plains, but they also had issued a 5% tornado risk across portions of western Dixie Valley in Mississippi, Louisiana. It was a rather large 5% risk, but overall we weren't expecting anything too massive. And now the blue Sunday night, we had what was originally thought to be a large and extremely dangerous tornado plowing through Tupelo, Mississippi, which prompted a tornado emergency. That tornado emergency itself was very short-lived, only about, I think, 5 minutes tops before it got downgraded to PDS. But the National Weather Service in Memphis has had agents and stuff and storm spotters down there going through and looking at all damage, and they have released their preliminary estimate for this tornado to be shockingly an EF1 with winds at 100 miles per hour, so certainly on the weaker side of things that we normally expect from a tornado emergency.
So do we know what the reasoning was for the tornado emergency? Is it how it looked on the radar, or was it on the ground reports?
Yes, we had radar was very, very suggestive of a tornado. We had correlation coefficient values showing up quite well, actually. And then we also had radar velocities were very tight, indicative of a tornado on the ground. And we also had storm spotters reporting a tornado was on the ground as well.
So that's it's turned out to be an EF1, but do we know of any damage on the ground?
There's been minimal damage reported on the homes here. I'll go ahead and pull up the National Weather Service's summary. They are saying the tornado's damage path was intermittent throughout the first part of its track. It caused minor damage to trees and a church roof along Thomas Street and Lawndale Drive. The damage became much more continuous as the tornado approached Main Street. Numerous trees were uprooted with some trunks snapped, and several trees fell onto homes, causing substantial damage.
And when was the last tornado emergency anywhere?
The last tornado emergency was actually back in March, where we had the high risk across Alabama. That was on March 25th. We had 3 tornado emergencies. We had 2 in Alabama midday near Birmingham for 2 large tornadoes. Those are both EF3s. And then we also had one that night for the Newman, Georgia EF4.
All right. Xavier, you're also here as well, current head of the Force 13 US operations. How's that going for you? You've been in place not so very long, and quite a lot to deal with first off.
Yeah, this has definitely been a challenging first event for me, especially with how this tornado emergency went on. And then, of course, we had that moderate risk yesterday, and that was for that wind event that was associated with that large line of storms that went through Mississippi Valley.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So yesterday we had that. We started off with an enhanced risk of severe weather, and this was mainly for the wind threat. Of course, there was also a large hail threat associated with this as well. Tornadoes weren't looking to be significant, and eventually they did upgrade to a moderate risk for a 45% significant risk there, which usually meant that there was an increased chance of seeing hurricane force wind gusts with some of the storms that were rolling through. And that was definitely what we saw. We went live on this, of course, yesterday on the US channel, and there were a whole bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings just stacked on top of each other, which is typically what you see in those intense lines of storms coming through. And then, of course, on top of that, we also had that slight risk in parts of the mid-Atlantic, and that was also bringing tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings across parts of Richmond and Maryland there. I mean, we had a very impressive one in D.C. as well, so there was a lot going on yesterday and the day before, and it's been a very long first half of the week in terms of severe weather across parts of the South and Mid-Atlantic. So thankfully, that is winding down, and things are looking quiet until 4 days from now. Day 4 is potentially getting something. What would that would be Saturday, I think?
It's coming up soon.
Yeah, Saturday.
Anything else that you two would like to bring up just now?
I would like to...
There was also...
Oh, both of you.
Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
Okay.
So I think another thing to note was associated with yesterday's storms was the Birmingham flash flood emergency that occurred as a result of the torrential downpours from yesterday's storm.
Ethan?
I think that was where you're...
Oh, sorry.
I think that was what about Ethan was going to be.
No, I was actually going to mention that I've been looking over some of the analogs recently for May, and it looks like that the day 6 to 14 period in the U.S., which is May 10th to 19th, looks to be quite a big uptick in severe weather across portions of the plains, the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, as well as the Southeast. So certainly, severe weather season is far from over.
And on that note, let's take a look at what's been going on elsewhere around the world in the wide world of weather. Extreme winds and hail from a severe storm hit Jiangsu province in eastern China on Friday evening, killing 2 crane operators. At least 4 were killed over the weekend in Yemen from flash flooding and landslides. In western Afghanistan, at least 12 people were killed by more heavy rain and flash floods on Monday. And you can share with us the weather in your backyard by sending images, videos and updates to our Force 13 channels on Facebook, Twitter and our email address contact@force13.com. So it's not just in the United States that there's been severe weather recently. We're also monitoring the situation in Europe, and the leader of the new Force 13 European team joins us now. Alex, good evening to you.
Good evening, Nathan.
And you are over there somewhere. That thing's not working right now. We'll get him. There he is. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, the past few weeks have been quite interesting with a lot of rare events happening in early this year, with some early windstorms with very cold weather this year, which has been quite a surprise in comparison to last year, which had, sparsely distributed its windstorms and had very warm weather for the winter. This winter has been a different story. And now, as spring is wrapping up, we got 2 last windstorms to deal with most likely, and it should calm down some again. But that doesn't mean it's far from that it's over. After the windstorms, we'll be seeing some more severe weather. But back to the windstorms. Over the past week, we've dealt with not only to be on the lookout for one, but also one actually occurring.
Yep.
Yesterday, one passed over the United Kingdom and Ireland, and also passed over the Benelux and France, causing some storm force winds, with gusts reaching up to 130 kilometers an hour observed. This makes it one of the strongest unnamed windstorms as of yet, and will likely be reanalyzed by the Europe team soon.
Now, Alex, I must say right now, from a UK perspective, it's not looking very good here for spring, is it? There's a big gulf between the UK and Europe coming up in the next few weeks. Europe's getting the warmer weather, and out over here on our little islands, we're going to be getting more windstorms and cold weather. I checked the models, and not a single day in the next 16 days has us at or above average.
Yeah, that's likely because of this current windstorm that's been passing over, which brings some colder northerly winds over the UK. This should change for a while as a second windstorm looks to be moving in. But after that passes over, it's likely to cool down a bit again, and Europe gets all the warm weather.
Well, there it is on the model run.
96 hours is especially interesting for Europe, as this could trigger some very severe weather.
Alright, tell us about that. What could we see?
This is basically warm air advection, which means that warm air rises upwards, tries to reach the North Pole, but it can't. So it's stopped by colder air above it. And as this windstorm forms here over the Atlantic and heads to Ireland and stalls, it forces warm air up through France and Iberia to the Benelux. And this could trigger some possibly supercells with maybe a few tornadoes if factors line up well.
Wow.
And the EU team is currently monitoring the situation, and we'll keep a close eye on it as situations progress.
And it says that's for the 9th of May, Sunday.
Yes, 9th of May, Sunday is day of risk. UK could be seeing some strong storm force winds, whilst the Netherlands and basically the entire Benelux deals with some rain, and France is likely going to deal with some supercells and squall lines, which could pose a danger to life if venturing outside without any knowledge on what to expect.
All right. What else was on your list, Alex? I know we had a few points on tonight.
Yes. This windstorm that's passed over a few days ago has also triggered a rare event in the Ardennes. This is taken by Alain Je Baron de Warfret. It's Belgian, and he captured snowfall in the Ardennes on May 5th.
Gosh.
Which is extremely rare, considering it's usually around 12 to 15 degrees Celsius at the time of year.
Is that low elevations as well?
This is around 100 meters or so it's pretty low.
Yeah, that's
definitely
insane.
Yeah, and I was surprised to see this occurring in the first place, since I've been looking an eye on the weather models and I've heard some here and there, but I never thought it to be actually possible. Like, I thought maybe once in a decade or something. And I guess it happened this year.
And I think you also heard today that there was some snow in the Highlands of Scotland as well. Incidentally, you can take a look at our live webcams from Force 13 UK HQ on the UK channel. And of course, Force 13 Europe. Alex, how's that going now?
The team is going great. We've got some good forecasters, and with each forecast it seems to become more and more accurate, and we've now got some new members as well, which also contribute a lot to graphics and forecasts, and we're facing a bright future. This could include maybe conquering with Notre Benelux eventually, which would be a great achievement.
And obviously, if people want to take part, they just what's the best way to get in touch?
I'd say reach out via Discord or Twitter, and we'll see if you could help us via there. Best way is Discord to shoot me a DM.
That's where most of our community is, yes.
Yes. and that's how our operations are also run. So Discord is the best way to reach out, join a team, and the basic requirement is basically you have to be interested in covering the weather in Europe, and you have to be at least 13 years old.
All right. Was there anything else on your list? I don't get to see it when we're actually running.
Yeah. There's been a tornado reported
yes.
in Germany a while back. It was on April 30th.
Have a look
At
at
the
that.
same time, a supercell, mothership supercell, which looks amazing, like a UFO basically. That does the name. And yeah, in the mid to North Germany, a F0 tornado, maybe an F1 tornado, likely touched down. And this went quite unnoticed, except by me and some others of the team who were watching radars closely.
No, you watched them very closely over there. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a cold core setup, which meant that it was in low cape conditions, so low instability. But there was very high wind shear, which is basically the difference in wind speeds in levels of the atmosphere. And produced this magnifique one. It was incredibly beautiful.
That's remarkable.
Don't see those often.
Oh, what's that?
This was the supercell that became a mothership supercell in southern Germany. And on radar it looked very interesting since we were already suspecting a possible hook echo developing, which is a sign of the system potentially becoming strong enough to produce a tornado. And in this case it didn't drop a tornado, but produced magnificent pictures. Sadly I can't show those because they're copyrighted.
Well, we've got the radar there at least to look at anyway. Alex, thank you very much for chatting to us tonight. Was there anything else?
The last things I would like to note are that there's a weather model called Arome, which does not have the best reputation in terms of forecasting for severe weather, but this is the second run. It's been showing potential for eastern France. So if you live there, keep a close eye on the weather as well if you live in Switzerland, considering there is a possible quasi-linear convective system, which is basically a combination of very strong thunderstorms and a line of thunderstorms in one. And this could bring strong winds and heavy rainfall.
That's interesting. This is Thursday.
Yes, for Thursday. It's for 1900 hours our time. And I recommend to keep a close eye on weather forecasts and stay tuned to our team as we're monitoring the situation closely.
And I'm sure Force 13 Europe will keep up the good work and get even better. Alex, thank you very much for chatting to us.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you. And that's it from WeatherBeat tonight. We'll be back again in another week's time, hopefully. Fingers crossed. It looks like we're doing this on the regular now, every Wednesday night. And we'll see what the world of weather throws up for us then. Have a good evening. As well as the Force 13 main channel that covers mostly tropical activity, we also have our plethora now of regional channels. The Force 13 US channel, Force 13 UK and Ireland, Force 13 Europe, Force 13 Australia and Oceania, and Force 13 Philippines, all with dedicated teams to provide you with the latest updates for those areas. You can find all of our associated channels on the channels page on the Force 13 YouTube channel page.